Good morning, everyone. I'm here today with Mike Hall, VP of Operations at Exxon Global, and today we'll be speaking about neurodiversity. Mike, welcome. Great to have you here.
Hello, nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Mike, can you just first tell us a bit more about your day-to-day? What do you do as a VP of Operations?
Oh, right. Well, I work for a global software company that provides point of sale systems, so mainly hotel chains. As operations, VP of operations, it's a thing that you end up doing nearly everything within the organization apart from sales and finance, but everything else from organising the installations and training of customers to our own service desks, running our cloud systems. They all sort of have that whole responsibility. So it's quite a daunting job, but enjoyable as well. Yeah, and you have to be multitasked and multi-skilled. Yeah.
And we know each other for such a long time, and I know quite a lot about Exxon Global. It's like a massive business, global business.
Yeah.
How many people currently like hire globally?
Yeah, I mean we always say we're geographically large, but people-wise not that large. You know, we're in the sort of couple of hundred sort of size of business, but we have got offices out, in the UK, in Dubai, Singapore, out in Sydney, Miami. So yeah, Ho Chi Minh as well. So you have to remember all, and Pune, India. So we have a number of different offices, and we're in the hundreds of staff. We try to keep things lean. We are an SME, not not a huge conglomerate. So yeah, we're a lean software company.
Yeah, and as a VP of operations, like you need to kind of navigate all different countries, all different markets with like multiple hardware, software products.
Yeah.
How do you manage all of it? It sounds like so much to do as a.
Yeah, it is a lot to do. It's very interesting. We have to deal with we trade in 50 countries. We have to deal with all fiscal compliance and tax compliance and things like that. But we use a lot of third-party companies. I'm all about team spirit, and team spirit is internal but also external. So using specialist legal consultants, special account consultants who provide the information, so you're not trying to reinvent the wheel all the time, and that's how you keep your business quite lean. So they provide all the information we need, and then we can then develop from that. So it's all about using specialists all the time as much as we can.
Wonderful. I mean, I'm so excited about this conversation we have today because you raised to such a high level
Yeah.
within the business, like running a few hundred people organizations
Yeah.
operation, and you come from like a neurodiverse background.
I do,
So,
yes. Yeah.
so can you tell me more about that? Like when did you get to know about it? Like what was your kind of path to discovering?
Wow, yeah. Well, I'm from an era where neurodiversity was not really sort of even known, So, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and it was a thing that people didn't talk about, even acknowledge. So, school, I didn't find out until about 2 or 3 weeks before I did my exams for leaving high school. So, all the way through sort of school, I had no help or anything like that, and I was literally told at school that you're just thick, right? So that's what I was told. So that was what the actual education system told me. So that sort of hardens you up a little bit, and also you had a lot of stress around that as well. And so when I found out, it was quite liberating, I think is the word, is to find out that you had
And how old were you when you found out about it?
15.
15, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a teenager.
Yeah. So yeah, I was 15 years old, and I'd had many years in and out of hospital with lots of different conditions that they couldn't find out, like headaches and like asthma type symptoms and things like this. And then finally, when it was actually a neurologist that actually diagnosed me, because this is just stress. It's the stress of you knowing that you are intelligent, but the system telling you that you're not. So that stress. So yeah, I mean, so that's things have
And
changed.
how did you manage that stress back then? Like, what were your? So we what might have right now
Yeah.
a lot of entrepreneurs in like maybe 18, 19, early 20s listening to us, and
Yeah.
they face a lot of stress. You know yourself,
Yeah.
building a business, it's a stressful.
It's a stressful period, and
Like,
I didn't deal with it well then,
mm,
and but I think what it's done now as I get older, I can deal with stress at a very high level now because of stress that was brought in so young. So I think you just learn coping mechanism, or put it in little boxes, the wrong word, but go and say, what is this stress about? You know, what is this actually? What's the consequences of this action that you're stressing about? Is it really a real consequence, or is it just something that's minor? And you know, as soon as you start to cope that way, that you start to analyse it in a different way to say, oh, is this something that's going to really affect other individuals, or is this really going to think, or is this just something that I'm worried about for no reason? You know, and you just start to cope that way. So I've managed to deal with that, but obviously when I was younger, it was a lot harder.
and if you were to speak to younger self and give yourself, like, let's say, 3 tips about how to deal with this
Yeah,
stress, like, what would you say to yourself?
exactly that. What would be, I think the main stress when I was younger self was I didn't know what my future would be. So don't worry about the future. I think that'll be the main thing. And you are good. You know, you are intelligent and you do know what you're doing. But as a neurodiverse person, it's the system sort of pushes back on that. So therefore, it's a very hard place to be as a young neurodiverse person. So I would say to my younger self, don't worry about what the system says. You've got it. Yeah,
Mm.
you know what you're doing. Yeah.
Right. Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And
No problem.
yeah, whoever is listening to us going through this
Yeah.
early kind of stages of diagnosis, like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is a stressful situation to be in, and it is a worrying situation to be in. So yeah, I would say don't worry about it. You know, you've got it.
And I guess the questions I would then ask as you progressed with your career, because
Yeah.
it's not like that was your first step in career to be a VP
No.
of large enterprise. Like, what was your first job? What was like your first kind of steps into the job market?
Well, the first steps was when I left school. I was at the point where I struggled to write my own name and address. So that was my, that's what the education system had done for me. So when I went for my first job interviews, I literally got told, you're never going to get a job. Why are you even here? Because it was the old days you used to go and sit in a room and apply for a job. So I realised then I wouldn't fit the box of a normal career path. Go and get a job. Because I'm neurodiverse. I'm dyslexic. I had different issues. So at about 17, I went, if no one's going to give me a job, then I'll create my own job. Yeah. So that's what I did. I thought, what can I do? I've got a driving license. I can drive. I'll go and buy a vehicle, and I will go and do some deliveries. And then within a few weeks, a few months, I was that busy that I managed to buy another vehicle. I got a driver working for me, and so forth and so forth. So, and then within 6 or 7 years, I had a multi-million-pound business with warehouses and trucks and stuff like that. So that was the entrepreneurial spirit. It's out of necessity, and a lot of neurodiverse people are like that because you cannot fit in that box. You have to think out of the box. And as I just one of my sayings is that I don't even know there's a box there. You just got to completely do something different.
Yeah, so that leads me to 2 questions.
Yeah.
So, your entrepreneurial path it's incredible. We're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
But then, the dyslexia, writing skills, communication skills,
Yeah.
whenever you read job spec, people expect you, and English is not my first language, so in some way I can relate to that.
Yeah.
No one has a perfect communication skills, or writing skills. It is an obstacle right now. So when you hire for Exxon Global for early stage jobs, what would you recommend to businesses, like how would you go about writing the job specs?
Yeah, I mean, something about job specs is there's one line in there like, you need to have excellent written communication skills, right? And that one line in a job spec can put a neurodiverse, especially with dyslexia, completely off the job, because they just highlight in their mind they're already nervous about their condition, and a lot of people hide it as well because it's just not talked about a lot. And so you see that line and you go, well, the job's not for me. So businesses are missing out just because of a line. It could be good communication skills or something. But if you emphasize the word written every time, especially the subject we'll probably come on later, is there's tools out there that can help you with that these days. That should be not a key part of your job spec. Yeah. So I would say just make your job specs like that, and also have an open mind and a different way of recruiting. We've spoken in the past, us two have chatted a few times about how businesses could get different people in, and recruit better by when they recruit, look differently at CVs, look differently at job specs. Yeah.
So I have a few follow-up questions, but just to close the loop around communication and skills, we had a chat, like I think last week or 2 weeks ago, about this like AI tools, where instead of typing, you kind of say something, and it automatically kind of improves your grammar, punctuation, all of that.
Yeah.
The tool, we're gonna drop it in the article, so you guys hopefully gonna like it. And moving on to hiring neurodiverse people, I have a few questions for you. There were times when I was responsible for hiring.
Yeah.
And as a small team, you need to provide some kind of support, some kind of framework for diverse people, or not. Like how, because like when you're a small team, things go really fast, like 10 people business versus like 100 people.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you're wanting to do, really, because what you've got to look at is when you're hiring a team, I think for me, I don't hire like individuals as just individuals. The whole idea of a business is that you work as one, right? And it's what skill sets do you actually need in that business? And neurodiverse people should be given the bandwidth to actually use their skill, because what is probably not as well understood is that neurodiverse people are extremely good, right? Excellent in certain fields, and each individual is different in different fields. So what you've got is you've got some superstars, but what they're doing is they're being held back by some things they're not so good at. Maybe reading or writing or attention, or depending what the neurodiversity is. But you look at your team and you go and say, in this team I need someone who's a problem solver, or I need a creative person, or I need someone who's very analytical, or something like that. So then what you just need to do in your team is look like, well, actually, if I bring someone neurodiverse in, then how are they going to sit in there? Because they're going to need a little bit of support. But when I say support, is just help from the other team members to fit in a team. And I say, like, think of a neurodiverse person in the football term, similarly in Manchester, is a really creative midfielder. What you need is good defence and good attack, around them, but they can then be the creative player to help them, win the game. So again, with that, you may have some people who are very, very detail driven and very, very good written skills. Therefore, but maybe not as good problem solvers. So they're already in your team. You bring a neurodiverse person in. Wow, you've got a superstar team. So that's how I would look at it. Look at hiring as a whole, not as individuals.
So now, using this like a football analogy
you
just mentioned, I'm just thinking, okay, so we are in, we have this like a job, like introduction kind of position, and then we want to progress from that position further. So in the beginning, maybe we join XM Global, and we are surrounded by the team that helps us to enable us super talent and supports us, like, let's say, with communication. And what would be your advice for that person then to progress in their career?
Yeah, I mean, my advice would be is that hopefully you've got a business that understands your neurodiversity, and I think it's all about open about your neurodiversity as well. The the the, the, um, the, tr- the issue is getting into those companies in the first place that you feel comfortable with. I think once you're in a company like that and you're open about it, then it's about expressing what you're good at. You know, your super skill. You know, is it
And how do you know what's your super skill?
you do as a neurodiverse person? It's sort of, this is from personal opinion. I can't say for everybody else, but you sort of know what. I'll give an example, like, and this is a trait of dyslexic people. We know the answer to a problem, and we don't know how we've got the answer. Right?
Can you give me an example?
That's
Sorry to put you on the spot.
yeah. It's for me, from say a technical point of view, let's say we're building a new network, right? And something's not working quite right on that new network. I could, someone could say, this data isn't flowing from here to here, having problems, and instantly I'll go, oh well, have you checked this, right, in the network, and point specific point, and they'll be like, and they'll go, oh, that is the answer. How do you get to it? I go, I don't know. I just knew it would be there, right? So when I chat to other people with dyslexia, they have the same type of thing, and I'm not an expert in the process of it, but what I read is that your brain is wired differently, so therefore you use different parts of your brain to problem solve. So you're much quicker at it, to the point where you don't even know, and you have to sort of retro-engineer how you got there, if you know what I mean. So again, being the team player, it's like, right, okay, I've told you where the problem may be, but now I need somebody to do the legwork and actually qualify that is 100% right, to go through and go very analytical and very detailed and tick all the boxes and everything. So for me, I can very quickly get to an answer, but then I need team members around me to to qualify it and make certain it's 100% right, or tweak it.
Okay, brilliant. It reminds me, like superpowers, like in Marvel movies. People just suddenly wake up and they discover they have the superpower,
Yeah.
and that might be quite overwhelming, and it's difficult to explain why do I know that and have a confidence to present that information.
And as I said before, is this the system is built around trying to put neurodiverse people into an academic box and not use their super skills.
And speaking about education and
Yeah.
academic box, we're
Yeah.
kind of rewinding a little bit in our conversation,
yeah.
but it's so important. So, educational system is
Yeah.
very rigid. You
Yeah.
go from module to module to module,
Yes.
and it's not exactly how we learn.
And it's not how neurodiverse people learn.
And that's definitely not how neurodiverse people learn.
Yeah.
And then you end up with your degree,
Yeah.
student loan, and the perspective of like, I'm entering the job market right now.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to change something in the educational system, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean that's a big one. I mean, I think the educational system has become a production line, right? It may be very controversial for me to say that, but what I see come out of the system is people who know how to pass exams, but not how to actually learn or actually act in business. So it's and that's not neurodiverse people. That is just the general sort of cohort that come out. Is that they're not trained, they're not business ready, right? And then neurodiverse people may have got past exams and really struggled to get to those exams, but then when they try to get to the next step, it's another leap. So I'm very much about apprenticeships. That's what we do. As XN, we do apprenticeships, and all apprenticeships we've done so far, they've all come out with distinctions. So we put time and effort in there, and that really then works better for the individual because they're learning on the job, they understand it, and they're getting the education, so they're getting the actual theory and the knowledge, but they're actually getting the practical. So when they then finish their education, they're already business ready. They've already got experience. They already know what they're doing. They already know what their super skills are if they've got them, and so forth. So yeah, I think education being much closer to business, like apprenticeships, I think that is a way forward.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
But I notice it's like really difficult for those people who are studying right now, but they don't get apprenticeships, or they get just like 2 3 weeks here and there,
Yeah.
but it's not enough.
I think, I mean, this is maybe not just a neurodiverse thing. I think it's just a general thing. A general statement is that if you're studying now and at uni, don't think that you're going to get. Don't look for the big job at the end of it. Go and pick a company that you can get in, get some experience, right? You know, maybe a bit lower than you first anticipated, but if you get a year or 18 months, you know, at that lower level, you'll learn so much, and then you'll be able to then grow from there. So I think that is you know, and we have that on in our company as well, is that people come in from uni and then, you know, they may have been struggling to get the job they thought they could get, but they can come in to us with a lower level, and then they learn so quickly, you know, and then they have a progress within us, or, you know, if they want to move on, they move on. But, you know, it's that. I think that's the key to when you believe in uni, is get into work, even if it's a lower level than you first thought. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question on that. I find it quite fascinating. People hire people similar to them.
Right.
So when you like in this hiring position as a manager or like a director in a company,
Yeah.
like you might be hiring, not
Um,
knowingly, people who are
Subcons-
similar to you,
Subconsciously, yeah.
and because of that, people from neurodiverse backgrounds could be like, well, not really taken into this account.
Well-
So if you were like give advice to hiring people, hiring manager, like how would you like when you get like 100 applications, like how would you go about it?
Well, I personally go to the bottom of every CV first, right? I don't look at their education. I don't look at their experience. The first thing I look at is what's their hobbies about. What are they interested in? Who are these people? Are they the right mindset for our company, right? And then that's my first sort of cut.
So how do you capture that? Usually the CV, it's like very like kind of
Yeah, and then
it's lacking the information really about the personality.
yeah, I mean it's very very brief at the bottom, but it could just be a very little hobby section, or try to capture anything within that CV that gives the real person, not what they're trying to show to me. It may have been, you know, anything that I can find that shows their personality. That's my sort of go-to, and then I'll have a look at experience, and then at the very end I'll look at education.
Okay.
Right. So education is very much last for me, because that may be that might be the mirror image from me that I'm coming out, because, you know, education didn't really work for me. So I'm saying, well, are other people in the same boat as me where education maybe not work for them?
Okay, so just for people who are like listening
Yeah.
to us, like sending a lot of CVs
Yeah,
right now out there, like if they were applied to Accent Global, like in this hobbies section,
Yeah.
like what would you like to see there? Like
Yeah, I mean, it's anything of interest. It's, you know,
or what you don't want to see there? Like,
yeah. I mean, one thing I don't want to see there is nothing.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
right, because that's, you know, so it could be anything from what they did when they're younger, or are they interested in sports? Are they interested in, you know, anything to do with anything they are interested in. It doesn't matter what they're interested in. It's just showing a bit of personality, right? And then if they get through to the first round of interviews, then that's when I talk to them about that personality, because normally what I find is that they're more comfortable talking about non-career things and about themselves. So that's another thing to look at. So anything in there, it could be, as I say, it could be music, it could be hobbies, it could be volunteering, it could be anything like that. But just trying to get a bit of who are these people? Are they the right mindset for ourselves?
Okay. Okay. I have a follow-up question. It just happened that we focused a lot
around
recruitment, and it's about networking.
Right.
So what I've learned later in my life, it's like a lot of opportunities that come to you are not like officially listed somewhere, and a lot of that is just going and meeting people.
Yes.
And then as a neurodiverse person, like I'm not sure because I don't know much about this subject.
Right.
Like, are you stressed about going into like bigger events, smaller events, like speaking to people you don't know?
So personally, no.
Okay.
Right. I think depends what type of neurodiversity you have. I mean, as I say, I can only talk about myself
Mm.
and what I see, and I find and when I chat to other dyslexic people, they don't have a problem with uh, vocal or being chatting in groups and stuff. I know other people with neurodiversity issues do. Um, but for me personally, that's my comfort space,
Mm.
right? You know, I'm in front of people, I'm chatting to them, I'm engaging. That's where I'm comfortable. Where I'm not comfortable is sending an email,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So face to face in a group, that's just my comfort zone.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. And then I just wanted to maybe speak about like a few stories from your life as
Yeah.
a neurodiverse person that maybe it's going to resonate with other people listening to us right now. If you can think about really good moments when people recognize your neurodiversity and you're like, wow, that's something I feel you really care about me and what I'm facing in my life. Have you ever had this moment?
Yeah. I mean, it's a really strange um, scenario because um, the stress issue you mentioned earlier was that when I didn't know I had dyslexia, I didn't know what the issue was, and then the actual advice that I got when I found out I was dyslexic was walk up to people and say, "Hi, I'm Michael, I'm dyslexic." So get it out in the open. So when I was
Mm.
younger, that's sort of the thing that I did to sort of de-stress myself that people couldn't find out because it's something that you sort of hide. But in business, again, I find that I hide it. You know, it's not something that I talk to customers about or talk to suppliers about.
Why do you think is that?
Um, Personally, I feel there may be a bit of unconscious prejudice about it. You know, because you know it's about professionalism. Are you good enough? You know, are you good enough to be in this position? Are you, you know, sending emails out? Can you read contracts? Can you do the X, Y, or Z? It puts loads of question marks on it. So what you end up doing is you just end up hiding it. You know, it's not something that I chat about. It's I actually one of our biggest customers, our point of contact. We've dealt with him since 2007, and I only told him about 6 months ago, probably less, that I was dyslexic. Yeah,
Mm.
and yet says I never noticed. I never would have, you know, known. Yeah, but to me, I've been conscious, you know, of that situation. You know, big corporation, you want to, you know, look good. So, so yeah, so I think I'm becoming more comfortable. You know, so you know, I'm this age now, and I'm only just becoming comfortable to speak about it. Where, so that just shows how I still think business is a long way away from accepting
Mm.
neurodiverse people.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like there's an educational piece, like the conversation we're having today.
Yes. Yeah.
People kind of listen, they get familiar with the terms, and
Yeah, I would just put it as a different skill set. You
mm.
know, I think that's what people got to understand is that, you know, everyone in business has different skill sets, and neurodiverse people just have a different skill set. It's just all that happens is that a skill set that is classed as the norm, and as I said, it could be from the dyslexic world, from either writing or neurodiversity, and other things could be, you know, attention, etc. Is is that is very much reduced. You know, you don't have that skill set, so that skill set on my side is very, very weak, but other areas is very, very good. So it's just you've, you've just got to understand it that way.
And it's all changing right now with the use of AI,
Yeah,
right? So I just wanted to
yeah,
chat about that,
yeah.
like since ChatGPT came in and like a lot of other AI supportive tools, like how do you feel that affects you and in general?
I just think this is an absolute game changer,
Mm.
right? Because the more I've looked at AI and the more that I see this is that companies companies really need to start hiring neurodiverse people because in my personal opinion, and there's a number of other talks about this from some very good entrepreneurs, that we're sort of like got the skill set that AI doesn't have. So AI can provide the things that we're weak on, so they're really good at, writing articles and writing documents and doing all, spell checking and grammar and all those basic functions. And also they're very good at being trained how the box fits. And as I said before in the education pieces, you can train AI very, very quickly, and a lot quicker than a student in university on a set of rules. And the AI will just overtake those people very, very quickly. Where personally, I think AI can't think like a neurodiverse person because, as I said before, we don't even know the box is there. So we really think of new things, and we really push the boundaries completely. Where AI's learnt from the standards. So I think we work with AI very well, and we can use AI to actually progress a business very, very quickly.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And are there any AI tools you're using today?
Well, I mean, I live on Grammarly.
Okay.
That is just I couldn't I couldn't function without it. So and that's probably why some people haven't noticed that I'm dyslexic. Otherwise my emails would be very poor. So yeah, I mean, that's really, and obviously chat. ChatGPT. I'm on that every day, just going through things and so those are my two AI go-tos. But yeah, it's a very interesting piece, and I want to start looking at more how we can utilize it more in our industry.
And that brings me to follow-up question
Right.
about the safety
Yeah.
of using all these AI tools.
Yeah.
Because a lot of companies, especially larger companies, they would be like very careful about sharing any internal data.
Yeah, so just we don't use AI to share any data or process any data. At the moment, we just use it for one is something like Grammarly, just that's normal type of just spell checking, But when you come to like chat or something, we use it for question and answer, when we're trying to troubleshoot something or build something or something like that. But yeah, the future of security around AI and where the data is and stuff like that is a good piece that you've got to look at. And if you're going into AI from a corporate perspective, you really have to look at your partner, who's providing this AI, who's providing the back end of that AI as well. Are they just using some open source at the back end? Where's your data sitting? So I think you've got to do a due diligence piece. If you're bringing it in and it's actually working with your company's data, you have to really be due diligent. Really do, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Mike. I think that gives people that listen to us like a quite and good introduction on neurodiversity, how
Yeah.
to hire talent, how to support people, how to make sure that we provide all the AI tools to
Yeah.
make life a little bit easier. And your personal story, it's very inspiring. And
Well, thank you for having me.
yeah,
And getting this the subject out there, because personally I don't see it being chatted about a lot, and I'm very passionate about it becoming a more spoken about subject.
oh, wonderful. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.